Neil Diamond, 50th Anniversary Collection. This has been the shortest 50-year journey I've ever taken. Thank you for coming along. Love, Neil Diamond. For 7 weeks at the end of 1966 and the beginning of 1967, the #1 record in America was a sunny blast of jangling guitars and calliope-like organ about a stranger to love who finally gets hit by the real thing at first sight. I'm a Believer by TV's Prefab Four, The Monkees. The biggest selling single in the country for all of 1967, I'm a Believer was also the beginning of this story, the first #1 single for its composer, Neil Diamond. At the start of the 60s, Diamond was a pre-med major at New York University on a fencing scholarship, good enough in 1962 make the NCAA men's championship team. He was also cutting classes, using that time to write songs and ride the subway uptown to sell his wares to publishers. Along the way, there was a writing for hire gig at one firm for $50 a week, a handful of credits on records by other acts like the Solitaires and Jay and the Americans, and Diamond's own first shots on 45, including a 1963 solo debut for Columbia. Then, in the summer of 1966, Diamond, by then a busy rising star at the New York songwriters Mecca, the Brill Building, scored his first hit as an artist, the strident folk rock melancholy of Solitary Man. It was his first release for the Bang label, produced by the veteran Brill Building couple of Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich. The lusty dynamite of Cherry Cherry swiftly followed, shooting to #6 in Billboard that October. Three months later, I'm a Believer still Diamond's not quite overnight charge into the top 10 an American pop life as a singer, writer, and record maker. He never left, and he's far from done. In the music industry, especially the business of rounding up greatest hits, the number 50 is usually thrown around like grand punctuation, a nice round mark at the end of the road. Neil Diamond's 50th Anniversary Collection is a half-century account of a passion still in motion, the giant steps and personal artistic triumphs, including more than 24 top 20 and higher singles that capture the scale and drama of everyday relationships with a classic immediacy and lasting force of the great pop record. This is genuine celebratory autobiography as well. Diamond chose and sequenced every song with the same care and focus with which he wrote and recorded them. The set opens, rightly, with Diamond's first walk into limelight, Solitary Man. Near the end, there's another path through that isolation, The Art of Love from 2014's Melody Road. There is more solace this time around. It also comes in the present tense with the modern country church worth produced by Don Was, Bonnie Raitt, The Rolling Stones, and Jack Knife Lee, R.E.M. Love's not what you have but what you give, and the art of love is who you share it with, Diamond sings, with the weathered gratitude of a man holding on to what he's learned. I never really chose songwriting, Diamond famously said in a 1976 Rolling Stone interview. It just absorbed me and became more and more important in my life as time passed. Diamond also said this years later in a song called Hell Yeah on 2005 12 Songs, the first of two sublime Renaissance albums he made with hard rock, hip-hop, and Johnny Cash producer Rick Rubin. So I think about myself as a lucky old dreamer. If you're asking me to tell, is it worth what I paid? You're gonna hear me say, hell yeah. Each album means as much as my very first record, Diamond affirmed shortly before his induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2011, and the experience of creation has yet to become easy. In truth, I'm as hungry as I ever was. Here is truly poetic justice. Neil Diamond was born with a perfect rock and roll name in Coney Island, New York in 1941. He once described himself as a solitary child. Music was his first and lasting refuge. When he was 16, Diamond attended a camp in upstate New York where he saw a performance by folk icon Pete Seeger. The teenager was soon back in Brooklyn, playing guitar and composing his own songs. Beyond over these 3 discs, Diamond's life in writing and seeking an evolving creative drive grounded in instinctive commercial certainty, is a lot like that of rock and roll itself. The 1966-68 run at Bang would be enough for most artists' entire legacies. That robust, wide-range baritone line with streetwise Brooklyn grit, drawing the AM radio glow of You Got To Me and Kentucky Woman, but also capable of provocative sensuality and the cantina noir of Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. It is no surprise that Diamond's golden 60s became a cover's motherlode, that last song rendered with languid suspense by the alternative rock band Urge Overkill, and set to the surrealistic violence of Quentin Tarantino's 1994 film Pulp Fiction, the Jamaican roots planted in Red Red Wine, first in 1969 by singer Tony Tribe, then in 1983 by British reggae insurgents UB40. Diamond's Bang records were made for sudden, universal impact, ready for sing-along. They were also ripe for interpretation as younger singers and bands kept checking their rearview mirrors for inspiration. Shilo was Diamond's autobiographical breakthrough, recorded for Bang in 1967, but really the first record of his next decade, rock singer-songwriter era, and Diamond's permanent ascent to stardom. In a 4-year streak of gold, platinum, and top 10s, Diamond refined an original, highly personal style in 70s troubadour candor, combining the storytelling reach of American musical theater with the vernacular of folk balladry, early rock and roll, and R&B hallelujah, Sweet Caroline, Cracklin Rosie, I Am I Said, Song Sung Blue. In 1973, Diamond would apply that winning contradiction to his first movie soundtrack, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, then again in the opulent multi-platinum score to his 1980 acting debut, The Jazz Singer. Sometimes there are hooks and choruses that simply take on a life of their own. In 1977, Diamond recorded a song that he wrote with the stage and film team, Alan and Marilyn Bergman, originally for a TV show produced by Norman Lear. That commission went south and Diamond cut the tune for himself. Then You Don't Bring Me Flowers, a portrait of a romance trapped in routine, was covered by Barbra Streisand and ultimately went to #1 for 2 weeks in the pair's unplanned duet. The version here is Diamond's. You can hear the serendipity on the way. Yet, as far as he has traveled, on records and literally on stage, around the world, Diamond has never strayed far from the beginnings that run deep through everything here, the learning and struggles that he first sought and experienced on Tin Pan Alley, then further up Broadway, strumming his guitar and testing the language of love at the Brill Building in a feverish age of Bob Dylan, the Beatles, soul, the girl groups, and yes, the Monkees. In 1976, Diamond paid tribute to that period in his life on Beautiful Noise, produced by the band's Robbie Robertson and Aaron and Myra. Whatever history calls it, Diamond wrote it in his inner sleeve note, the early 60s opened the door to a new wave of consciousness for most of those who passed through its beautiful but noisy portals. That November, Robertson certified Diamond's connection to that time and its consequences by inviting him to perform Dry Your Eyes at the band's farewell concert in San Francisco, The Last Waltz, with Dylan, Neil Young, and Joni Mitchell, among others. You could put me at any show and it wouldn't fit in, Diamond contended, looking back later. But from the start, like everyone else on the Winterland stage, Diamond has been writing and singing for and about the misfits in all of us. Songwriting gives me the greatest joy, the greatest sense of accomplishment, the sense that my life does have some purpose, Diamond told Rolling Stone in that 1976 interview. It's what I am. Diamond's 50th anniversary collection is a story, for now, and we're all in there too, somewhere. David Frick, Rolling Stone, January 2017.